Did the Futu Municipal Chief Executive snub his people haven't agreed to meet them for a town hall discussion today? Well, the MC's reason for failing to show up at the town hall meeting was that his presiding member could not make it. The people of Winneba are, however, not enthused.
They should know that today this program is coming on and they should be around to execute it. If a program of this nature has been scheduled and at the last minute some people get out, are they not public servants? Where have they gone to? Were they not in office when the letter was being written? So what is happening?
The question tonight is, how can citizens hold their district chief executives accountable if they are nominated by the president and not voted for directly by the people? My name is Stephen Enti, and this is today's big story. Now, Joy News says We the People is a program that brings the district assemblies and the people together to dialogue development issues and also address accountability concerns. Unfortunately, the MCE for Efutu Ni Ephraim failed to show up at the town hall meeting, having agreed to be part of the program. He said his presiding member could not make it to the meeting, hence his decision not to turn up. His people see it as a slap in the face.
They should know that today this program is coming on and they should be around to execute it. If a program of this nature has been scheduled and at the last minute some people get out, are they not public servants? Where have they gone to? Were they not in office when the letter was being written? So what is happening?
I'm feeling very disappointed, and it seems as if you are not serious about what we are doing. We are the assembly members and our chairperson is the presiding member. So before we are summoned to a meeting, the presiding member should be in the know or should be informed. And that is not done. And what is bad? So I think it is the assembly staff who didn't do their work well. According to the letter that I have here, the assembly is going to show us the project that they've put up or they've executed. So there are some projects which, according to the funding and other things, we see some questions. Certain things didn't go on well. So we were preparing to ask questions about those projects. Yeah, there was one time, our last General Assembly meeting, there was a project which, according to the document brought to us, the amount earmarked for the project, after the project has been executed, the amount has increased to something else. And we were asking questions because the whole thing went through tender and whatever.
I was surprised because letters were taken around to all the assembly members, the stakeholders, the community. So it's a shock.
Manyami baby allen we me assembly member. Mr. Nchamarba, Nancha mamu and maybe sa, mamu also me to Makabi. Nasa ambadu amanyankopon baby o waka there, we to asha dambe no suswa, Zayo susunyara yebeshia, yerbotuga.
Iya se bibi here, ni yempe ni fubi de na ya shanya gbada mu waka no obehia da ya baba bechie wa asama na mfumudu bi abada wanya asama na no mbado da oni ya nchase da wa man ya oda da ya bechie wo na mimi no obi a woni bibi okwa ona mu wanyi midi wunchi o da ya ba man ya bechie ne yehu ya bibi na sana ma asama na mbado da onu ya so ya nchase.
Well, the last two people who spoke in Chi have been saying the same thing, expressing disappointment about the inability of the MCE to meet the assembly members at the town hall meeting, which was scheduled today. Now, many questions have come up for discussion. Could the MCE pull up a similar action if he was actually directly elected by the people? We will have some local government experts joining us for a discussion on this. But before that, let's engage our reporter who was in Winneba today. Jaho, it's great to have you.
Stephen. Thank you.
You were very disappointed, I know. Tell us what happened.
Well, about 5 a.m. We started gathering the crew.
5 a.m.
5 a.m.
Wow.
Some were even picked up as early as 4:30 because they're coming from different parts of Accra to come and converge here and pack up our equipment, get on the bus, make sure that we get to Winneba with enough time to set everything up, ready for what we hoped would be the first ever We the People, the first ever town hall meeting that will be televised live on TV in Ghana. But we got to the venue, and after people started arriving, the chief started arriving, opinion leaders started arriving, then I started calling the assembly, getting a bit worried because they are key partners in this.
Yeah.
And they were
they were already gathered.
Yes. So people had already gathered. People were coming into the hall and were asking when are we going to start. We were scheduled to start at 10 a.m. It was around 9:30 when they started arriving, and it was around that same time that I got a call from the assembly saying that the MC urgently wanted to see us, to see me. So I went there with a couple of my team members, and unfortunately, it was not good news for us. He had a couple of officials with him. He had the chairman for the subcommittee on development was there, as well as his protocol officer, and some other members of the assembly were there, and they told us that they have to call off the town hall meeting.
But did he previously agree to this town hall meeting? It's strange to me. I mean, if you have the opportunity to meet your people and be accountable to them, there are some of the people you spoke to who had pertinent questions to ask. So the question is, did he agree really? He
did agree. We have him on camera actually agreeing to it. And we had meetings. We had about 3 or 4 meetings with him. I was in 3 meetings with him. They were part and parcel of drawing up the program. They talked about the fact that they wanted to have a slide, a projection, a PowerPoint presentation, some of the things they have done, because they were also complaining that in as much as the residents are always complaining that nothing is happening, but they're doing work and they want to show the residents or the citizens what kind of work they've been doing. So they thought for us the feedback was positive. In the beginning he was a bit suspicious of our intentions, I have to admit, but he came round, and if he hadn't come round, I don't think the subsequent meetings would have happened. I don't think we would have picked up bag and baggage and equipment and people and taken them all the way to Winneba and got in the venue and told people that this is what was going to happen. We started the information services announcements on Friday. It went Friday, Saturday and Sunday. So the assembly was fully aware of what was going on. At any point in time, they could have called us and told us that, listen, we don't think it can happen this week, but can we schedule it? I think that was only courteous to have done that, but to wait for us to get there.
We'll be speaking to some local government experts, but let's play an interaction that your team had with the MC earlier on.
Anytime you come around, they will get you moved down to the arrangement that will definitely happen. Next time when you come see the coordinating director, he'll link you to the planning officer. We'll fix dates for the programs so that you will be thinking about it whilst we also be planning towards it. So for us, we have the top men around, the presiding member, and he himself, the coordinating director. I think it's concluded. Thank you so much. I wish you also have interaction with the local government minister, so that, like I was saying, with the group, they'll be given some cards, accreditation. Anywhere they go, they show it, and it means you are permitted to enter the municipality and have discussions with us.
I'll find out from our management,
so that you will not be barred from other areas.
We'll find out from our management if they are really not there.
As for your we have accepted you to work with you as well.
Thank you very much, sir.
But I want us to extend that to other districts too.
Well, Jao, this was, we wanted to extract the promise that he made to the team that he was willing to submit himself to this kind of scrutiny, really, where the people get to ask him questions where they want. But let's look at it this way. When you got in, did you get the impression from the people you interacted with that they were not ready with their questions?
The people were ready for the opportunity. They wanted to see what the assembly has to say for themselves. To be quite honest, they were not really on the attack. They weren't on the offense. They wanted to see what the assembly had to say for themselves, and then they'll come in with their questions. So if it had gone on as it was supposed to, I believed it would have been something that would have been very educative, especially for other assemblies and for other citizens around. So initially, with the first people that came, there wasn't that sense of animosity. But unfortunately, when the assembly didn't turn out, then people started throwing out their hands in the air and saying that, oh, well, of course. Someone even said, oh, why? Is it fear and alarm that they are...
I know.
I
know as a journalist, it's unfair for me to push you to ask whether you feel that the MCU could have pulled such a thing up if he was actually voted for by the people. Would he have the guts to call out such an important interaction?
As you said, I don't know if I would be able to say that, but that is a question that governance experts have been asking for a very, very long time. I know George Balfour has been questioning the rationale behind appointing MMDCs, especially when it comes to local government issues. And the question has been that it doesn't encourage the kind of transparency and accountability that we want as a developing democracy, and as a democracy that's supposed to be the example for the rest of our continent. So it's a question that I think this experience, we should really look at it again and see what we can do to ensure that the leaders are willing to be made subject to their subjects.
And held accountable, really. So I mean, whilst you're here, quickly, before I let you go, tell us about this this program that we were starting. Yes,
well, we're still going to go on. We're still going to go on with other municipalities. There are 4 other municipalities that we are working with. It's 5 altogether. There's Sujaman, there's Sunyani, there's Kasina, Nankana, and also Laura. Those are in the upper regions of the country.
We do hope that
so we're
they
going to go on with them,
out.
and yes, exactly, and hope that they wouldn't withdraw at the last minute.
I know, at the last minute.
And hopefully this experience, if they're watching, they know that we really are serious about. I think maybe they thought we were not serious. They hear a lot of proposals, and I don't know what the thinking was, but at least other communities know that
we're here to hold them accountable.
And we are there, yes.
Yeah,
our promise will be there whatever happens.
Jaho is the producer for We the People, which is a Joy News program, which aims at bringing municipal and district assemblies to the people so they can ask their questions. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back. Welcome back to today's big story. My name is Stephen Enti, and we're talking about decentralization in Ghana. The key question is, should DCEs be elected, or they should continue to be nominated by the president? There have been several recommendations to have them elected, and I'm joined in the studio now by Dr. Callistus Mahama, who is head of local government service and executive secretary of the Inter-Ministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization. Very long title, sir. Nice to have you on today's big story. As it stands now, how is it possible? How does our decentralization system make it possible for the citizens to hold their local representatives, DCEs and municipal chief executives accountable? How does that happen?
Well, to know the extent to which MCs or DCs for that matter are held accountable, you have to look at the enabling legislation, which is Act 462, the Local Government Act of 1993. Essentially, there are, I would say, 3 areas that we can look at. The first one is the political means. We have assembly members who have been elected into the assembly of the districts. Essentially, they are supposed to exercise the political authority over the DC in terms of the projects that he does, in terms of the revenue that they generate, in terms of the allocation of the resources and how efficiently these resources are used. So that is the responsibility of the elected members. And therefore, the quality of the assembly members that you have in the district is directly related to the level of accountability that is exercised at the district level there.
So you're speaking about the elected members. I'm talking about the non-elected members, like the MCs themselves. I mean, they are the heads of these local government.
No, I'm done with the point. Okay. You're asking to what extent are the MCs accountable to the citizens.
That's right.
I'm saying that the citizens elected people in the assembly to exercise political oversight over the MC.
Okay.
So depending on the quality of the people that we have elected in our assembly, these are the ways, these are some of the challenges that we have in terms of the quality of accountability. That's the political side. Beyond that, if you look at the budgeting process, the planning process, Act 462 NDPC Act of 48 of 1994 also makes it very clear that citizens have to be consulted. Assembly members, the assembly should organize public hearing in the budgets that they make for the assembly, in the plans that they make for assembly. It is a statutory requirement. Beyond that, we also have this financial management, public financial management laws, which also expect the assemblies, i.e., for instance, if you look at the ARIC, Audit Report Implementation Committee, it's chaired by the presiding member, who is also a representative of the community, to look at the extent to which public resources have been used efficiently and effectively. So you look at it from the political aspect, you look at it from the administrative aspect, and you look at it from the public financial management. There are ways by which citizens can also exert.
So there are mechanisms from the way you're saying.
For instance,
these are mechanisms.
They are mechanisms.
Are they workable mechanisms?
They are workable. They are workable if we, at the local people, operationalize them. For instance, when you hear people appeal to the president, we don't like this, our DC. The law itself makes provision for the assembly members to impeach their DC without recourse to the presidency. So if the community are not satisfied with the performance of their DC, they should tell their elected assembly members, please, these are our opinions. And the law also requires that assembly members should consult their community before and after every meeting for them to express their views on the floor of the assembly.
Dr. Mama, have you paused? The Ochehini has been speaking on the issue of decentralization. Let's hear what he had to say, and then we'll get onto the telephone line and speak to Che Balfour, who will express some views on that. Stay.
Well, this whole thing starts and finishes with ownership. Ownership. If the people in Suhum and in Samankase have the psychology that they own that road, and if they have resources to build a better road, they will. It looks like we don't own anything in Ghana. Central government owns everything. So the financial discipline will come when people own projects.
Well, let's get onto the telephone line now and speak to George Che Balfour, who is a local government expert. Good evening, sir. Thanks for joining us on today's big story.
Yeah, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, Ochehini spoke briefly, though, but I mean, what we have been dealing with now is a forum that we are holding to give the opportunity for DCs to meet their people and then be answerable to them. And they don't show up. I mean, if they don't show up, would you say any mechanisms in place to check accountability will be any effective?
Yeah, thank you once again. I have heard my brother, Dr. Callistus Mahama, espouse some principles as provided for in the enabling legislation. Political decentralization, administrative decentralization, checks and balances, so to speak, in the statute. But in principle, they are there. But in practice, they do not work. You look at political decentralization, like he espoused. The president appoints the MMDCE, and then the president appoints 30% of government appointees into the assemblies. So already, government has a 30% appointees who are very powerful, and then they are in league with the chief executive who has equally been appointed by the president. So you have to tie in the president's power and strength of appointing 30% and a powerful chief executive as against an elected 70% who from his own expose are weak, because you elect 70% of metropolitan and municipal and assembly members, and then you do not adequately train them. They are not exposed to the rudiments of their functions. And then, again, they are overawed by the strength of the appointees and the MMDCE. So they become ineffective. You go to the assembly, and decisions are very usually taken by the DCE with the cronies. That is the practice of it. You come to the internal mechanisms of accountability. the ARIC that he talked about. ARIC is chaired by the presiding member, and in most cases, presiding members are appointed members of the assembly. A lot of presiding members are representatives of the president, because there are a lot of hand-to-hand dealings to ensure that you get an appointee to be elected as presiding member. And then he goes to add up to the DCE and the 30% appointees. You look at the membership, the composition of ARIC. You have the Metropolitan Municipal and District Chief Executive as a member of the ARIC. He is the person who, together with the District or Municipal and Metropolitan Coordinating Director, have utilized the resources of the Assembly, and they are supposed to account for it. The Auditor General has audited the accounts, and perhaps they have been indicted. These are the very people who are going to sit on the ARIC to determine their own fate. I think that, it is undemocratic. It does not augur well for effective accountability.
Right.
Let neutral people look at the audit report, and then if people are supposed to be indicted, they are indicted. The Audit Report Implementation Committee is packed with the very people who administer the resources of the Assembly.
Right, Mr. Balfour, I'll have you hold briefly, and I get a reaction from Dr. Callistus Mahama, who is here. You heard Che Balfour. Anything you want to say in reaction?
No, what he's saying essentially are the challenges that we face with the system that we are practicing in Ghana here.
So you do see that there are challenges with that system?
There are challenges, no doubt about that. And these challenges have been recognized. If you look at the decentralization policy and some of the new laws that we are drafting, I think the realization has come to a certain stage that if we really want to empower the community, and I listen to the ownership element, and that is what has been missing in our decentralization program, that the communities are not empowered. So most of the programs that we implement in Ghana here, as far as decentralization is concerned, they are central government led. Central government introduces this, central government introduces, but you don't find some of these programs coming from.
But what ownership again? I mean, the key question is, for example, in this forum that we were holding, the people came and the leadership didn't show up. So what kind of ownership are we expecting to demonstrate
now,
here?
I'm talking about central government leading most of the reforms that we have in the decentralization program. You're right, the people have responded to the call. I don't know the circumstances under which the MC didn't avail himself, but I thought it would have been a fine opportunity to have the MC, the presiding member, some assembly members, and then the community. That platform, I don't think, was to chastise the MC and then find faults about his administration, but to provide opportunity, what they are doing. Then the community will say, okay, if you pay attention to this area, these are some of the benefits that we as a community could also get.
Right.
But the bottom line is that, yes, we do acknowledge that despite the tremendous progress that we have made, there are still challenges in implementing.
Have we made progress, really? I mean, that's the key question.
Yes,
Mr. Che Balfour, you heard Callistus say that despite the tremendous progress we've made with decentralization, there are still challenges. Seeing the challenges, I mean, he's mentioned a few. What should we be doing way forward to make sure that decentralization will work for us and it won't remain a fluke, really?
Yes, we need to go back to the constitutional provision and the constitutional expectation. In Article 240, the Constitution expects decentralization to take very specific issues into account. That is democracy, good governance, and democratic accountability. Participatory democracy. These are the four expectations of Article 240 of our Constitution. And to bring it into reality, I think that we need to do away with government interferences in the decentralized process. There's an institution that is expected to be put in place at the district. Let the people elect the entire membership of the structure. Let's do away with the appointing system, because government every time will appoint cronies and party sympathizers as appointees to the assembly. So we need to do away with them, so that if somebody is elected as an assembly member and he does not perform within 4 years, then the people can hold him accountable.
Right.
We also have to do away with the appointing system with the chief executive. Every chief executive must go to the people for his mandate. We don't necessarily have to allow central government to nominate 5 persons, because eventually or ultimately central government, whether MPP or NDC, will nominate party cronies, who will be 5 of them, submit them to the Public Service Commission, manipulate the system, and then the people will be compelled without options to vote for one of the three shortlisted members of the party in government.
Right.
I think that it is not fair.
Yeah, yeah.
We should allow the people to determine their own leaders. Let them elect the people that they want to lead. Because if the person who was called by the chiefs to brief them on the mechanisms of the assembly had been elected by the people, he would have responded.
He possibly would have turned up.
That the people can take him on after 4 years.
That's right.
So we need to ensure that the system works, and then we do away with the hand of government. Because look, you look at contract management, you look at financial management. Every year, government determines the extent to which this assembly common fund must be put to use. This year, the guidelines that were by central government is compelling every assembly to build 2 schools under trees.
Right, Mr. Balfour, I'm afraid your point is very well noted. We don't have a lot of time. We would like to wrap up. We're very grateful that you could make these points. We'll follow up later on the news and other programs that we have. Thank you very much. So, Dr. Callistus Mahama, I want to put it to you that George Balfour is suggesting that the best way forward is to stop the nomination system and give the opportunities for every member of the assembly to be elected, so that we don't get situations where the nominated appointees are manipulated.
Well, 2 points that I want to make here. The first one is, if you look at our constitutional provisions that my friend Mr. George Balfour made reference to, there was some level of legal ambiguity. The Constitution says that public administration, as far as practicable, should be decentralized. So to the extent that central government can, and they should decentralize. Unfortunately, over the years,
but shouldn't this be changed? I mean,
well,
as far as central government it should be decentralized.
That is why I'm saying that.
That's vague.
That is why we are saying that we have made progress. So if you look at the new amendment, there are specifics that we have included. For instance, when you say decentralization at the district level, what do you mean by decentralization? It says devolution. When you know what devolution is, central government cannot, to a very large extent, be interfering in what is going on at the district level. So when you don't get this conceptual clarity there, then any government that comes will try to tamper with the system.
But you do also know that the town hall meetings usually don't come on. I mean, so which systems are we supposed to get accountability from these leaders?
Well, that's a very good question to ask. Well, but on another note, you see, I've always been saying that let's not get too excited about the election of MCs. It will not solve our problem.
It will not solve the problem.
It will not solve the problem.
That will be a question we'll chase another day. The election of MCEs and DCs, he says, will not solve our problems. My name is Stephen Enti, and we'll be right back with an interactive segment. Stay with us.